Welcome my brothers, welcome to the channel, welcome to the video. Today I am going to speak about something that I honestly believe a lot of men do not speak about. It's this almost quiet epidemic, which is the idea that you can chase every single thing on paper, tick all the boxes in life, do everything that your parents, society, your friends, your family have told you you should be doing, and still get home at night asking yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? And why do I not feel fulfilled? I think it's such a powerful question, and it's a powerful question to sit with, because I know I went through this for, God knows, almost 6 or 7 years, whether that was working high-level corporate sales or building my own businesses, whether it was the app I built or the e-commerce stores I was running and operating. And I always had this feeling like I had all the achievement, I was making money, I had status, I had all of the things on paper that you would want, and I still felt completely empty. Like it just didn't fucking matter to me. So I really wanted to build this video out to give you guys an understanding of exactly why you're feeling that way and the steps that I took. And honestly, it's really one major step. This one thing is going to get you from where you're currently at. It's going to build the right foundation for you moving forward. And by the end of this video, you're going to have my 4-step process to defining what actually matters to you, because this is really about, guys, building your internal compass. That's really what it's about. Once you have that compass, the map is life, the compass is the direction you're going, and you've built it yourself, which means everything that you take to build said compass is things that you actually fucking care about. It's not what somebody's told you to care about. It's not what your parents have told you. It's not the path that's been laid out in front of you that you've been forced unconsciously to walk. It's a path that you get to forge yourself. And I think that's such a power and a beauty as a man to be able to define something, have enough self-trust in himself to walk said path because you've created it. And that's what I want to give you today. So we're going to go over this super powerful stuff. And I'll just say this, there's no amount of success, money, status, fame, identity in the sense of your job or your achievements that is going to give you a state of fulfillment if you do not care about it. What you don't care about is what you don't care about. More of it is not going to fill that hole inside of you. So let's dive into it. I've got a bit of a presentation ready to rock and roll for you. And by the end of this video, you are going to be well on your way to building a life that you genuinely care about. Let's rock and roll. Okay, boys, let's dive into this. So I call this the mirage of fulfillment. Now, we all know what a mirage is. You see something from the distance in the desert. It's this big oasis. It's the goal. It's the dream. It's the fantasy. You get to the said thing. Like you make all the right moves. You achieve the thing. You actually have this thing as a reality, and it never feels like what you thought it was going to feel like. It didn't close the void that was currently inside of you and still is inside of you. Okay? So I want to make this super clear. Success isn't the problem. It's what you expect it to fix. Such a fucking powerful line. And honestly, I think we fall into that time and time again, including myself. I put my hand up. I'm absolutely with you, boys. But this is something that we really need to fix. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the unfulfillment loop. Now, I mentioned the hamster wheel, and this is essentially broken down to make it a lot more simpler to understand. So let's go through this. So the first thing is the emotional goal. So if I achieve X, I will finally feel enough. Now, again, this is all to fill an internal void. Okay, there's a root issue going on internally that we believe external success is going to fill, or external accomplishment, or status, or money, or whatever, right? Whatever your vehicle is, whatever the mean value, okay, aka the vehicle that you're trying to achieve to fill said void, it's an external thing, which means you have no control over it. So if it decides to disappear tomorrow, you are left feeling exactly the way you are. And to be perfectly honest, as we go around this hamster wheel, you will see that regardless whether it's there or not, you'll always still feel the same way, because nothing externally is going to fix something that you need to give yourself. Okay. So the first thing is the emotional goal. We set this audacious goal, whatever it is for you. It could be simply like, I need to make 200K a year, $1 million a year, whatever it is. Okay. So this is where we're tying a lot of identity to, a lot of our worth to, whether we feel enough, whether we're valuable, whether we're lovable, whatever. It's always tied to this goal. Okay, whether it's conscious or unconscious, usually it's an unconscious thing, but this is essentially being driven by a deep, unresolved emotional need. And then there's a hope stage created. So you open a hope loop within the loop, which is, this is the thing that's going to fix it. This is going to make me feel this missing piece of my internal puzzle. I'm going to find that piece, right? And then once you achieve the thing, you get into the letdown stage, right? Okay, I got there and I still feel the same way. What the fuck? Okay. This is going to create a lot of confusion and disillusionment and potentially some shame because you're feeling to yourself like, well, why am I not feeling the way I thought I was going to feel? The fantasy, the illusion that I created for myself, it's not fixing that. It's not making that illusion real. And so then you go into a confusion phase, which is like, okay, well, what do I do now? So you go to the external world, you ask your parents and friends and family, co-workers, maybe you console in somebody else and they tell you, man, maybe you just need to go bigger, better, faster. So you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into the chase phase of this loop, which is I need to make sure the next goal is bigger. Okay, 200K wasn't enough. It's 500K, it's 2 million, it's 10 million, it's whatever for you, okay? No, it's not this relationship. It's actually the next one that's going to be better. I need a hotter girlfriend. I need this. Whatever the case is for you, okay? The phase that you're moving into is that you just want to double down on the thing that's actually not fixing the problem, right? So same driver, new goal, and this is going to make you feel productive, but unfortunately you're avoiding, okay? All you're doing is avoiding the actual problem, okay? So you go into this stage, there's maybe a little bit of anxiety and excitement, anxiety and excitement play on the same receptors. So anxiety and excitement. You go into the next thing, you start planning, you start getting exciting, you're telling everybody about this potential goal you're going to do, and then you finally set the goal but with a lot more urgency because now you're like, I really need to hit this next thing. And so you move back into the emotional goal, you set the new thing driven by the same deep, unresolved emotional need, and the cycle continues. And most men do this their whole lives until they realize that the said thing they're doing is actually never going to help because you're trying to fix the right problem with the wrong solution. Very, very simple. Okay? I'm going to repeat this. You're trying to fix the right problem with the wrong solution. So let's move into the next phase of this, which is understanding the mindset between the two, where we want to get you from to where you need to work towards becoming. Okay? So a lot of us are in this autopilot mindset, the old operating system. Now, this is where a lot of men sit, whether it's high achieving men like yourself, or just men in general to a lot of extent. But I wanted to focus purely on this because this is actually really important because this actually described exactly where I was in my sort of early to mid 20s. I was chasing external wins to feel enough. I was focusing on proving my worth at every corner. I set goals purely to impress and to fit in. I was reacting completely to life's demands. I was not creative. I was not proactive. I was constantly reacting to life, waiting for an external sign to then make an internal decision. And instead of making an internal decision and then allowing the external world to follow suit. Now, I was living definitely in this state of kind of burnout and rebound. So, I'd work really hard at said thing and I'd get exhausted and need a bit of time off and I'd then rebound back. And there was this like constant pull and push of just my energy constantly because I could never find enough external fire or kindling to keep that internal motivation going, right? And there was that constant thought, which is when I hit this big audacious goal, then I'm going to feel enough. That was literally the backbone of every decision I made. Now, the transition for me, and I'm going to give you the one key change that made me go from autopilot to alignment as one very, very fundamental thing, which we're going to go through. And it's not some crazy framework. It's something super simple, but one of the most critical changes you will actually make to get to this alignment mindset, which is where I'm now sitting, which is the new operating system, which is defining success purely on things that actually matter to me. Like, I don't care if somebody looks at my life and goes, I would never do that. Couldn't give a fuck. It cares to me. It matters to me. So I'm going to continue doing that because the compass that I'm using now is not an external compass that somebody else is holding. I hold the compass. It's internally motivated and everything I do is aligned with that compass that I have built myself. So I'm focusing literally on living on a truth that I have created for myself. I set goals that actually feel deeply fulfilling to me. And I'm designing my life from the inside out. So clarity and consistency. So you understand the clarity of where you're going and then you build the consistency to get there. And the last thing, which is the new mindset shift, is I know what matters and I'm living it. Because the biggest thing is the compass that you build is defining your values. It's the code, the principles, the ideals that you actually want to live by. The problem is so many men haven't defined this. So in the next phase of this, I'm going to show you the 4 steps very, very simply to define your values and then what you actually do with them. Okay? So I want to start with this. If you don't define what matters, the world will decide for you. This is where 99% of men, I would honestly say, live. Problem is, the world never rarely gets this right. The path you're on, the laneway that you're walking down, everything that you're doing, if you really sit with it and you ask yourself, did I decide this? Or did somebody influence this decision? Did somebody tell me this is what I should do and I just blindly followed? Most of the time, that's the case. I know it definitely was for me. Get the good paying job, get the apartment, get the house, get this, get that. Yep, tick, tick, tick. All the boxes on paper were ticked. And I still felt the same way. Because nothing that was on that piece of paper I actually cared about. It made no difference to my life. Now I'm living a life truly in fulfillment, in alignment with the things that I care about. Freedom, love, connection, integrity, respect for self. So all these things really dictate how my life goes. So again, let's dive into this. I want to get you, by the end of this video, in a space where you're like, I know what I care about and I know what I'm going to be doing with them, and I'm going to rejig my whole life so that it makes sense to me. So the first thing is reflecting. Now, all of the answers we need to know about our values and our principles are in the past, or in our experiences, or in the things that are taking up our energy, time, and focus. So there's a few things you can look at. I'm going to give you some questions. First and foremost, we've got a guide. It's a full end-to-end guide on how you define your values, how you build your value system, all the frameworks, and how do you actually apply that to your daily life step by step. That's available in our free school community. So all the resources, all of the courses that we've built, the foundations course, it's all in our school community. You can get to the link below. But what I want to do today is just give you guys the basics. So at least at a worst case scenario, you leave this call and you actually got a framework that you can follow. So step one is reflecting. There's a few key things you can reflect on. Firstly, where are you spending your energy right now? What books, what thought leaders, what people do you follow on social media? What content are you consuming? What are the values and the principles that are backing those people, backing those things that you're reading? Okay, what do you feel like you're getting from that? The next is to turn to your own experiences, good and bad. So what is something that was challenging for you that you overcame? What were the principles and values you had to lean on in those moments? And what were some of the more positive moments? Where were moments where you felt proud of yourself? What were the values and principles, the emotions, the themes that you had to lean on in those moments? What did you feel? The next thing is looking externally to the people around you, right? The relationships that you have. Who do you look up to? Who do you despise? Why do you look up to them? What are the qualities that they have? Hey, why do you don't like this sort of person? What is it about that person? What's the negative attributes that you don't actually like? Why don't you align with them? Why don't you like that behavior? What are the values that they're stepping on by doing said thing? Maybe it's being disrespectful. Maybe they're not trustworthy. Whatever the case is. So I just want to go through this. Firstly, currently, what's consuming your energy? Secondly, internally, your experiences, good and bad. What did you have to lean on for both of those? The third thing is relationships, as I said. Who do you look up to within your close world? Family, friends, childhood. Who was the person that guided you, that helped you, but also who was the opposite of that? Who were the people that you didn't like? Who didn't you connect with? What is it that they didn't do? Right? And then you can look at things like, what are the causes? What are the things that you actually care about? So when you're looking at different things in the world, what is it that's driving you in that capacity? What values? What are the principles? What are the emotions that drive you there? So these are just some very basic. We go into 10 very specific questions that we've created over trial and error over the last 6 months for myself, working with different guys. But this is just giving you an idea where you just really want to go into your past, into these experiences. The next thing is to spot the pattern. So at this point, you can use ChatGPT as a fantastic tool for this. So once you've filled out all of these experiences, and I'd suggest trying to find maybe 1 to 3 examples for each of these. Once you've written all these down, take that in ChatGPT and just say, can you just create me a list of all of the values, the end values, very specifically the end values based on these reflection answers. So ChatGPT will create a list of all of the themes, all of the values, all the things that it will pull from your answers. So now you've got this big list, okay? And what this will do is it'll start to look at the patterns and the themes and the values that are actually important to you. Now, some will be more important than others. This is where you need to sit with yourself and go, cool, what's actually important to me right now? But then you may actually look at aspirational values. What are the values of the man that I'm going to become and I'm working to be? Because maybe you don't embody those 100% right now, but that's actually what you're working towards. So the next thing is then looking at that list, you kind of condense it down to maybe the top 10, top 15, depending on how many ChatGPT gives you. And then you just want to simply look at going, cool, like in this current space where I'm in, what are the top 3 to 5 that are going to serve me the most long term? Like what are the most fundamentally important ones that if I didn't embody these, it would detrimentally change my life, or it would completely change my life, or it's just I couldn't live without these, right? So once you understand those, you're in a really good position because now you've defined your core values, right? Now, this is where most men stop. They define their values and then they don't really do anything. They just read like, okay, I value freedom, growth, and integrity, or whatever it is, connection, love, whatever the case is, right? And that's it. They look at it and go, cool, well, that's what I care about now. But that's a really bad place to stop. So what we're going to do is actually take it 1 or 2 steps further, because what I found the most powerful for me personally is to really personalize those values so that they genuinely become mine and I can fully embody those. So that is step 4, defining the standard around your values. So there's 2 things you can do here. The first is to create a personal value statement, something that you actually write, as in, what does this value mean to me? So once you've done that, you've got a personal value statement, something that you can really emotionally anchor yourself towards that value. And then the second thing I want you to do is I want you to create 1 to 3 guiding principles. So a set of rules or a set of standards that you are going to read every morning, midday, and night to reinforce these standards, to reinforce these guidelines of what do these actual values mean to me from a lens of what are the rules behind it? What's going to govern my behavior based on these values? So 2 things, like I said, the personal value statement, what's the emotional anchor, the why does this matter to me? And the second one is the standards behind it. Okay, what are the rules that I'm going to follow based on these values in certain situations? And I'll give you an example. Let's say you value integrity. It could simply be, I will be honest regardless of the circumstance. Doesn't matter what's going on, I will always choose to be honest over being right, for example. Okay, so that's just one example of a guiding principle, but you can really define it however you want. Again, if you need help, I would suggest writing all these from yourself, and then you can use ChatGPT to just refine things down, make them simpler, a lot more clearer, because really what this is you want these statements and these regulations, these standards to be clear and simple for you to remember and for you to implement. Simple as that. So once you've defined your standard, then we go, okay, we've got this thing. We've got this personal value statement. We've created the value system. What do we do next? So the next phase, which I'm going to go over super quickly, is very simple. Audit your energy and time. Most people don't actually know where they spend their energy and time. They have a kind of an idea, but what I get my guys to do is I get them to audit 7 days of their time. Like literally write down from the moment they get up, writing, I woke up, through every half an hour. Usually I say to them, like, set a timer every 2 hours. When that timer goes off, get your notes out and just literally write a list of every single thing you did in that 2 hours. Because what we want to do is we want to just purely, there's no judgment, there's no removing anything just yet. It's just, let me actually see where my energy and my time is going. So once you've done that, then we move on to the next stage, which is identifying, based on this new value system that you've created, I want you now to say, okay, what's in alignment and what is out of alignment. Now, you're looking at things like habits, people, work, decisions, actions, behaviors, literally whatever is out of sync, you just make a list. But then you also make a list, 2 sides, what is in alignment based on my values and what is out of alignment based on my values. And with the stuff that is out of alignment, we either remove, replace, or reframe. So what do I mean by that? Remove is remove. If it's something that is toxic to you as far as what you care about, you work towards removing it completely. Reframe is you might take said thing and there may be a way to make it more aligned with exactly what you care about. And then replace is replace. You literally look at that and go, I want to do less of this and I want to replace it with something more. So for example, you might be watching a lot of Netflix at night before you go to bed. That doesn't align with your value of growth. Therefore, you might go, actually, I'm going to stop watching Netflix and I'm going to buy a book that is going to empower my mindset, empower my ability to make more money. It's going to help me look at things differently, understand myself, whatever. And at that point, you would then say, I'm going to replace that with reading for half an hour before bed or an hour before bed, right? You're changing your habits and your behaviors to be better aligned with said value, principle, code, okay? And then the most important thing is the weekly review, the roundup. Reflect on the week. what went well, what didn't go well, and what are you going to do to make sure that if the things that you did didn't go well, what are the steps you're taking to make sure that the next week is a lot more successful? Okay. This is something that's super critical that a lot of people forget to do. Just like in the gym, imagine you went to the gym and you never recorded how much weight you were doing every week for every exercise. So you just go into the gym and go, I can't remember, I'll do 35 this week, 25 this week, 40 this week. There's no consistency. There's no genuine progression, right? Because you're not recording. You have no data to show on. So this is essentially you building your database of where you're at so that every single week you can make these tiny improvements, because it's not about making these huge leaps. It's the 1%. You know, James Clear talks about this, the 1% improvements every day. This is what you need to focus on. You will get to the point you need to get to, but just focus on the next step, the next step. Have a goal in mind, have something that you want to achieve as long as it's aligned with your values, but just focus on the incremental step-by-step approach. So that's basically it. Thank you guys. I hope this was helpful, and I hope it's giving you a lot of things to think about. Again, if you are needing support, accountability, we have built a brotherhood within school. It's a free community. We've got resources, we've got courses, meditations, breath works, everything's in there, right? All the guides, the worksheets, the exercises, like it's all free. We wanted to pump it with a ton of value. So I'll leave the link in the description below. Otherwise, you can scan the QR code here or go to the link shown on screen and join our community. It's a brotherhood. We are purely focused on action and keeping each other accountable to the things and the promises we make to ourselves. So I'll catch you on the next video. I'm Alex Pano. Till next time.